What's up, guys and pals? It's your buddy Coach Vito. One of my best friends in the entire world, my pal Frankie Eyes, was recently on a trip with his wife in New England, and they went to do a little antique store shopping. And they picked something up for me that they said, "Hey Vino, you are gonna absolutely love this." And so I'm like, "Oh shit, what the hell could it be, right?" And so they brought it over, and it is called the All-In-Vue 84 Drinks for You. And what this is an old school recipe pamphlet, okay? Now this was created by a fellow called John T. Fitzgerald. He worked at, I think it was the bartender school in New York City, okay? This is the 1940s, folks. I mean, this thing is barely holding on. But the point of this thing here is what they did is they put these together and they sent them out to different liquor stores throughout the city just to give them away to their customers. And their customers would look through these, and inside of this are all these recipes. So we got like the gin fizz and the martini and the Alexander. And all of them have, like, you know, old school style specs. I mean, a jigger of this and a teaspoon of that. And so, you know, really, really old school specs. And there's also a couple in here, though, that I've never had before. So I'm actually, you know, really, really intrigued by that. But, you know, it's got all these thumb tabs, and it's divided by brandy and gin and club cocktails and Alexanders and champagne and port wine. I mean, really, really cool. And then at the very front of the book, actually, it has a description of all the different spirits. So it's like whiskey and gin and rums, and it tells you how they're made, and a little bit of the flavor profiles. Really, really cool. Some facts about wine, not just cocktails. And in the back, it also has like what to serve with some spirits and wine, which is really a fun idea as well. And then just a couple drink menus if you want to put some menus together for people. Really fun, helpful hints and all that stuff like that. And in the back of the book, it actually has the information of the wine shop that this particular pamphlet was being distributed at. So they would actually personalize that. So just a really, really fun and cool gift. And I think Frank, thanks a lot, buddy. Really, really love this. What I'm gonna do today, though, is I'm gonna make two cocktails out of this bad boy. Two that I've never had before. One called the Club Cocktail and one called the Curacao Punch. Now, like I said, a lot of these recipes were written out in the old style of cocktails. You know, it's like one jigger of this and a tablespoon of that. So what I've gone ahead is I try to, you know, modernize them as best as I could. And I'm gonna make those for you today on the channel. We're gonna have a little fun, taking a little trip down memory lane to the 1940s and beyond, all right, guys? Anyways, look, before I do that, though, I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell so you can help Vino feed the hungry algorithm. And make sure you stick around, because we're about to boogie down. All right, guys, so the first cocktail I'm gonna make for you guys out of this little pamphlet here is called the Club Cocktail. Now, the Club Cocktail sounds incredibly familiar. And I gotta tell you, I've been in this business for almost 25 years now. And for some reason, I don't feel like I've ever had this cocktail. So maybe I'm just going crazy. I am nuts, but I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying? But let's actually look at what's in the sauce, okay? So according to the pamphlet, it is 2/3 dry gin, 1/3 of Italian vermouth. Now, Italian vermouth generally means sweet vermouth, and then one generous dash of chartreuse. Now, it doesn't say it's yellow or green. I'm gonna go ahead and use green. That's my assumption that's green, but if it's not, too bad. So I'm using it anyway, right? And then it says here, oddly enough, it says to shake the cocktail. That's not something you would traditionally do with a recipe that doesn't have any juice or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir it, okay? So I'm modernizing the specs. I might as well modernize the technique, all right, guys? So anyway, we're gonna stir that into a cocktail glass. We can garnish that with cherry and olive or lemon twist. I'm gonna go with the lemon twist, and let's go ahead and make this bad boy. All right, guys, so the second cocktail I'm gonna make for you guys from this little pamphlet here is called Curacao Punch. Now, I've heard of the Curacao Punch before, and normally it's a blue kind of, tropical island resort drink, not really up my alley. But these specs don't quite read that way, and I'm really excited to try this version out, okay? Let me actually read what's in the sauce, okay? So it calls for 1 jigger of Curacao, okay? Now, you can use blue Curacao if you want to, but I'm gonna make this cocktail a little more sophisticated, and I'm gonna use some dry Curacao, okay? And then it calls for 2/3 a jigger of brandy, and I'm gonna be using some Cognac, and then 1/3 a jigger of rum. Now, it doesn't specify what rum, but I think it'd be really fun to use a Jamaican rum in this. In particular, I'm gonna be using some Smith & Cross. I think it's gonna work really well in this. And then it calls for a 1/2 teaspoonful of lemon juice, and then 3/4 a tablespoonful of sugar. Okay, so we're not gonna be using sugar. We will be using lemon juice, but we're not gonna be using sugar. I'm gonna use some simple syrup instead, okay, guys? And then we're just gonna mix that bad boy up, pour it into a glass and with some ice, and then garnish it with some seasonal fruit. And we're gonna have ourselves a Curacao Punch. Let's go ahead and make this bad boy. All right, so let's go ahead and give our 2 very vintage cocktails a sippy sip, starting with the club cocktail. Now, this is a cocktail that's really right up my alley, and it's obviously a martini style cocktail with your gin and your sweet vermouth, and then the addition of green chartreuse hopefully adds some nice, herbal notes to it. Cheers. Oh, that's great, guys. That is a very vintage, classic style of cocktail. If you like your martinis, if you like your Manhattans, if you like anything like that, you're absolutely gonna love this cocktail. The sweet vermouth works really well with the dry gin, and the green chartreuse, like I said, it bumps up the botanicals that you're getting from the gin, and it adds its own kind of sweetness to it as well. Very, very nice, guys. Traditional, classic, can't go wrong type of cocktail. Oh yeah, very, very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and try the Curacao Punch. Right now, again, this is one that I've traditionally seen done in a very tropical style of cocktail, blue and umbrellas and pineapples and whatnot. This recipe did not read that way. Let's find out if it doesn't taste that way either. Cheers. Oh, that is nice. That's fun. This here, man, I could think of ways to make this better, but it's really good just the way it is. I'm thinking if I could just bump up the Smith & Cross a little bit on this bad boy, we're gonna have ourselves a real special cocktail here. This is a nice little drinker. Oh yeah. Oh man, it's got beautiful fruit, citrus notes. The cognac adds a little bit dark cherry in there as well. The Smith & Cross is very subtle. It's there. It's very, very light though. I'm telling you, a little more of that Smith & Cross or any other Jamaican rum, if just to give a little more extra tropical funk in there, would really bump this up a little bit. 2 very different style cocktails, but they both taste vintage though. I mean, this tastes like an old school, 2 ingredient cocktail, and this tastes like an old style tropical cocktail as well. Very, very nice, guys. Anyway, look, if you like today's video, please press like, please subscribe, and please share with your family and friends. Remember, sharing is caring, and when life gives you lemons, make yourself a cocktail. Cheers.